The Long Road to True Happiness by WierdRandomTina. Chapter 45. Alone with Her Thoughts. The next morning, Poppy woke up 2 minutes after 9 o'clock. She yawned, stretched, and instantly stood up, still trying to get use of the lack of stiffness in her movements. On her nightstand, she found a lovely bouquet of purple flowers in a sparkly blue vase. Beside it was a sweet note.
Good morning, my beautiful sweetheart. There's a bowl of raspberries for your breakfast. Your dad dropped off a chunk of casserole for your lunch, and I saved you another small slice of chocolate cake just in case. I'm bringing you a surprise dinner from the scarf making festival. It seems as though I'm needed in every corner of the village today. I'll stop by as soon as I can, but that might not be until late afternoon. So please don't worry if you don't see me all day. Hugs until then. Love, Branch.
Poppy's heart swelled every time she looked at her boyfriend's distinctive writing, no matter what the context was. She recalled the 2 beautiful poems he wrote for her, the anonymous one to cheer her up several years ago, and the more recent and romantic one to confess his love. Oh, how those poems made her heart soar! Not to mention his verbal poems at the campouts. Most trolls couldn't sound so smooth even if they tried their hardest and planned a speech for days. Branch barely had to put in effort into his words. He was naturally charming. With a smile, Poppy kissed today's note, then gently set it beside the vase. After sniffing the beautiful bouquet, she pulled out her camera and snapped a photo of them. That was the unfortunate part about real flowers. They look and smell wonderful, but soon they start wilting and have to be thrown out. Poppy shrugged. Oh well, that's the way it is. Nothing I can do about it, except take a picture to preserve their appearance forever. Bouquets are meant to be temporary, and it's not as if they're a rare collectible. After breakfast, the slightly larger portion Branch prepared for her was the perfect amount. Poppy put on her teal jacket and headed out of her pod, with a specific and important destination in mind. She passed quite a few trolls along the way. A teenage green girl with yellow hair. Good morning, Queen Poppy. How are you feeling today? A bit better, thanks, Laura. Archer, the always smiling red glitter troll with purple hair. Hey, Queen Poppy! Are you headed to Tulip's dance party? Unfortunately, no. I'm not quite ready for big parties yet. But I will try to stop by your mini get-together next week. Hiya, Queen Poppy! Multicoloured Harper, dark pink with a light pink hair Moxie, and a stout orange pigtailed purple-skinned Lexi. Hi, girls. Thanks for dropping off those new leg warmers for me, Lexi. They're super soft and fit perfectly. One of the cooks at Smiling Taste Buds, dark blue Darren.
It's so nice to see you, Queen Poppy. Are you out by yourself?
Yeah, Branch and my dad are both busy, but that's fine. I'm good to walk alone now. Poppy then passed by another small group. She overheard Cooper telling them a joke. What's green and often found in the forest, but doesn't belong in the forest? My hat would have lost it! She didn't even realise she'd laughed aloud until the long-necked troll looked over at her in surprise, his long pink ears poking up. Hey, you laughed at my joke! Does that mean you thought it was funny? Poppy giggled again at his big toothy smile, hopeful and silly. Cooper, you are by far the funniest troll in this entire village. His 4 light blue legs danced happily at her praise, and she couldn't resist another giggle. Around the corner, she noticed Saturn and Chenille walking up ahead, so she called them over. The twins were wearing sparkly purple dresses. Saturn's was sleeveless and flowed down to her ankles, while Chenille's was short with the long frilly sleeves. Poppy asked them, Are those dresses new? Yeah, they're our latest additions, Chenille emphasised by striking a pose. Made specifically for our cousin's purple-themed wedding anniversary. Saturn added. Poppy nodded in approval. They're very beautiful. Saturn and Chenille's matching expressions softened with emotion. Their blue and pink eyes glowed. You think so? Poppy smiled at them. Yes, I love them. All your designs are outstanding. The sisters were clearly overjoyed to hear such warm and sincere compliments from their best friend, who seemed to have lost her inspiring kindness. With an extra and unexpected boost of confidence, Saturn and Chenille cheerfully continued toward their cousin's party. A few minutes later, as Poppy greeted DJ Suki, the pings of hug time sounded in the area. Suki glanced down at the glowing flower on her wrist, then stole the quickest glimpse at Poppy. But the sparkly red troll's unspoken question was loud and clear. With no hesitation, Poppy opened her arms. Suki was too shocked to move, so the pale pink queen clarified, "It's okay, DJ. You can give me a hug."
Are you sure, Poppy?
Yeah, hugs don't bother me as much anymore. Actually, I miss them, especially from my BFFs. Tears of joy formed in Suki's rose-pink eyes. The DJ hurried forward and hugged her. With their arms snugly around each other, Poppy murmured, "Have you finished that holiday song of yours yet?" Poppy could feel Suki's smile widen against her cheek.
"Yeah, I got it done yesterday. Do you want to hear it?"
Poppy squeezed her friend tighter. "Not now. I want to be able to fully appreciate it, and I'm not sure I can do that yet. But hopefully soon."
Suki sniffed. "Thanks, Poppy. Just let me know whenever. I can totally wait."
After the girls parted ways, Biggie approached Poppy and asked timidly,
"Is it all right if Mr. Dinkles and I walk with you for a bit?"
Poppy smiled at her gentle blue friend. "Sure, Biggie. I'd like that." The pair walked in comfortable silence for a bit, until she asked him, "So, what have you been up to lately?" Biggie looked surprised to hear the dispirited queen start a conversation.
"Oh, not too much. The usual: parties, scrapbooking, leaf collecting, hanging out with the gang. Oh, but I did take some new autumn pictures with Mr. Dinkles. Would you like to see them?"
"Sure." So Biggie reached into his short ice blue hair and handed his companion a sparkly orange photo album. Poppy flipped through the pages as they continued walking. She didn't bounce around and squeal about how cute Mr. Dinkles looked, but seeing his cuteness did spark something in her heart. Something light and good. Once Poppy closed the book and both trolls stood facing each other, Biggie thanked her for the peaceful stroll.
"It's so great to see you out and about again, Poppy. You have no idea how happy it makes all of us."
"Thanks, Biggie. It's nice to want to be in the village again."
"So, are you starting to feel like your old self? You look more you. A bit pinker, with a bit of a smile. Even a little sparkle in your eyes."
Poppy ducked her head, her best friend's praise giving her a boost of esteem. "Yeah, I am feeling better. I certainly don't feel totally rotten anymore." Biggie smiled as his blue eyes started to tear up.
"That's wonderful, Poppy. Tell you what, as soon as you're feeling better, I'll take you to Lou's Sweets for some cotton candy to celebrate."
For the last 15 years, she and the big blue troll would get cotton candy from that cute little shop for all special occasions. Their birthdays, holidays, graduation, her princess and queen coronations, and more. Poppy returned his smile and accepted his invitation with a tender hug. "I look forward to it, Biggie." Mr. Dinkles let out a happy little meow as they ended the hug, and Poppy petted his soft yellow face. After wiping his damp eyes, Biggie asked,
"Do you mind if I leave you now? I'd like to get to the book fair early. I need to find some more bedtime stories for Mr. Dinkles."
"Of course. I'll talk to you later. Enjoy the book fair." Within another minute or two, the young queen reached her destination. She peeked into the cube-shaped pod and addressed the troll seated at the desk in the centre. "Hi, Milton." The veterinarian looked up from his paperwork with a friendly smile.
"Oh, hello, Queen Poppy."
"I'm not disrupting you, am I?"
"No, not at all. Come on in. What can I do for you?"
"Well, I was kind of hoping I could visit Brave." Poppy was answered by excited meowing coming from a cage in the far left of the room. The young swampkin had been napping, but jolted awake when he heard the familiar voice of the troll who had saved his life. Brave's fluffy grey face was pressed against the cage door, his naturally sad-looking eyes glowing with happiness.
Milton laughed affectionately. "Well, no way I can argue with that."
Poppy gasped in delight and hurried over to the cage. "Hey! Hi, Brave! How are you doing, buddy?" She reached in to pet him, and he responded by licking her arm and purring so loudly that his entire body was vibrating. "Ah, well, you certainly seem to be doing better. You're so sweet."
Milton came over to stand beside her. "Yes, he's doing very well. So well, in fact, I think I'll be able to release him this afternoon."
Poppy's smile began to fall, but she swiftly corrected it. That's great. I'm so glad to hear that.
But compassionate Milton caught her sadness. You're going to miss him, aren't you?
Poppy stifled a sigh and nodded as she rubbed under Brave's chin. Yeah. It was enough that she saved this little guy's life by overcoming her biggest fear and reaching a major milestone in her recovery. But by naming him, she'd gotten even more attached to him. But the important thing is that he's going to be okay.
Milton rested his mauve hand on her shoulder. I'll let you know when Brave is ready to be discharged, so you can say goodbye.
This made her feel relieved and upset at the same time. Thanks, Milton. I don't want to let Brave go, but I have to. I'll miss him, but he'll be okay. And I'll be okay. Back in her pod, Poppy settled onto her couch and stared up at the ceiling. She closed her eyes and let out a contented sigh. Something felt different, but a good different. Inside, deep in her heart. The darkness wasn't as dark. The heaviness wasn't as heavy. She had noticed this change gradually occurring over the past few days. I'm still not all cupcakes and rainbows. However, I'm not totally cold and bitter either, and that's an improvement. And saying I'm improving is being optimistic, which is also an improvement. Since the moment she lost her colours, Poppy had been hyperfixated on all the bad things. Every little inconvenience, a minor setback, and less than excellent thing that happened, or could happen, causing her to feel depressed and anxious 24/7, making it very hard to see anything good. But there are still plenty of good things in my life. I just need to find them, bring them back to the surface so they can overpower the bad. Poppy concentrated on listing any positives she could think of, no matter how small. The village is recovering. I rescue. The new village is safe. The new forest is safe. Everyone is happy. I rescued a swampkin from drowning. I went into a river. The berries I had for breakfast were extra tasty. I haven't had a headache for the past few days. I made my friends happy instead of hurting their feelings. Dad's colours are brighter. Branch's colours stayed bright. My handsome turquoise and navy blue Branch, who has never abandoned me and never will. Poppy felt a pleasant warmth cool in her chest, but it was still not that familiar jolt of hope and happiness she used to have. How did I used to be so endlessly positive? Even something as simple as tasty berries or a bird chirping or finding a nice pebble would make me want to leap for joy. Like even on the most mundane days, doing the most ordinary activities, joy was constantly bubbling inside me. Nothing fazed me. I don't know. It just came naturally. I didn't even have to think about it. But things were different now. Happiness wasn't something that came easy to her. I need some visual aids. Direct proof of happiness. She stood up from her couch and made her way over to her closet. If I surround myself with positives, then I have no choice but to see something good. Poppy dragged out the large, rather heavy basket of unopened envelopes. For so long she couldn't bear to look at them because, although they were intended to cheer her up, they only did the opposite. But now, seeing the colourful envelopes and knowing there were thoughtful cards inside sparked her curiosity. She wanted to open them. She knew it was going to be an emotional roller coaster, but that didn't deter her. So, one by one, Poppy opened the heap of envelopes and intently read each one. Cards, letters, poems, drawing, even a few little gifts, including a mini pink dream catcher, a smiley face pencil, a glittery blue coaster, and a decorated photo frame. Some items were from individuals, others were from families or groups. All were unique, well-made, thoughtful, and inspiring. Despite tearing up after each one, a constant smile remained on Poppy's pale pink face. Finally, near the bottom of the pile, she reached for an extra large envelope. The Get Well card from the Trollings that Carrie had mentioned. On the front was written, everything we love about Queen Poppy, in relatively neat handwriting, likely Priscilla's, and fully decorated by doodles and stickers. Pulling out the oversized paper, Poppy found a photo of herself taped in the middle, the nice portrait from her princess coronation. Surrounding her bright pink smiling photo was a little felt face of each trolling in the glass, alongside a little blurb with their favourite thing about her. She's so nice to everyone all the time, no matter what. I love how bright and fluffy and pink her hair is. She always compliments my fancy outfits. Her smile is brighter than 100,000 stars. She's the happiest troll in the universe. She helped me make my awesome Halloween costume last year, and I won the contest. She makes amazing scrapbooks, and her singing is so pretty. She makes me laugh even if I'm feeling sad. She is the best at telling stories and playing games. She's so much fun. She's like a big sister to me. She saved me and my friends from eating dangerous berries. I can't pick just one thing. Queen Poppy is the best. I love pottery, and she inspired me to try pottery classes, and now I'm way happier with my new hobby. Queen Poppy taught me that being different is a good thing. I'm one of a kind, not weird, so I feel a lot better about myself now. I want to be just like her when I grow up, always helping people and making a difference in the village. This overwhelmingly adorable card caused Poppy to hit the breaking point. The tears she had been holding back finally burst out. Reading all those sweetly sincere compliments hurt so much that it made her feel better. Or made her feel so much better that it hurt. She was a bit rusty in the happiness compartment, so it could be either one. It took several minutes for her ugly crying to wear off, plus a 5-minute break to sit outside in her lawn chair. But Poppy finally managed to pull herself together, returned to the basket, and finished off the remainder of the envelopes with minimal tears. Afterward, she set the 4 gifts aside, then organised the different types of cards into half a dozen piles. One by one, she stacked them neatly in some empty cubbies in her party supply closet, planning to create a proper album for them at a later date. She hung the dream catcher above her dresser, set the photo frame on her dresser, put the pencil in a jar with her other writing utensils on her craft desk, and placed the coaster on her dining table. As she wandered over to her bed, Poppy could honestly say she felt happy, but not an exuberant way. She was still lacking that vibrant euphoria. It was only a spark where there should have been a flame. It's still not enough, but I'm on the right path. Instead of finding about a dozen complaints and anticipating every worst-case scenario, she was trying to see the glass half full, not half empty. Her outlook and her mood were improving. Some positivity is finally rising above the negativity. Poppy reached under her bed to retrieve her favourite plushie, Prickles. Typically, the dark blue porcupine stayed on top of her mattress, on her pillow during the day and by her side at night. Without her colours, she had lost interest in having a cuddle buddy, so she gave Prickles a firm hug, feeling as though she needed to reassure him that she hadn't abandoned him. With the fuzzy porcupine still in her arms, Poppy sat on the end of her bed, staring down at her bright pink carpet, lost in thought. Since she was trying to focus on the positive things around her, she decided to focus on the one positive thing that has always made her the happiest, the very best thing in her life, the centre of her world. Branch, her beloved boyfriend, the love of her life, the former loner who opened her eyes in ways no other person could have, the exceptional troll who taught her the true meaning of happiness, the value of real friendship, how to be a good listener and a better queen, and the importance of safety. Poppy thought her life was perfect before, but being with Branch made it 100 times better. Soft turquoise skin, thick indigo blue hair, broad periwinkle nose, cutely curved ears, mesmerizing sky blue eyes, heart-melting smile, his breathtaking voice and the pure comfort of his magical hugs. There is literally nothing he wouldn't do for her. She never knew it was possible for an individual to be so loving. He has so many unique talents and important skills, yet he's so adorably modest. His strength is admirable, both physically and mentally. He always knows exactly what to say and do to lift her spirits, more so than anyone else. A quiet melody could be heard from within Poppy's heart. It increased until it was ringing clearly in her head. She wandered over to the dresser and reached for her stereo. Making sure the volume was on low, she found the appropriate song and gingerly hit play. Angel in disguise, stories in his eyes, lover of every true heart that he sees. She sighed contentedly. The music reached right into her soul, like hot soup easing a cold. Was it just a lucky day that he turned to look my way, or is it heaven right before my very eyes? He showed me all new things, the shimmer of moonbeams. I was blind, but now he's helped me see. She closed her eyes with a little smile, feeling no desire to hit pause. I was lost, but now I'm found. His happiness surrounds, and now I've found that all my dreams can come true. As she listened to the chorus, Poppy accepted that she can't be truly happy until she quits focusing on the past. That's how she's always stayed so upbeat. She'd fix the problem as best as possible, look on the bright side of the situation, learn from the experience, and gleefully move on. She kept longing for life to go back to the way it was before the discovery of the high water. But that wasn't going to happen. I can't change the past, but I can control the future. My future and the village's future. Some terrible events happened last month. But that doesn't mean the days and months to come can't be good, or even great. Nothing will ever be the same, but change can also be great. We're trolls. We roll with the punches and sprinkle glitter on hardships. When mistakes are made or accidents happen, we find a way to make things even better than they were before. In this case, parks and homes and stores are gone, and much of our Newfoundland forest is now uninhabitable, which is not ideal in any way. But everything that was lost can be replaced. Instead of tragedy, we can view this as a fun opportunity to make exciting improvements and create unique new parks and trails that we never could have before. The Great Flood may have destroyed many buildings and landmarks, but it didn't destroy our culture, and it didn't dampen our spirits. I'm always worrying about my people being distressed or in danger, but they're totally fine. Every other troll is optimistic and eager to settle into the new part of the forest. All my people are cheerful, comfortable, and safe. I shouldn't stress over them so much. It's my job to take care of them, yes, but I can't monitor their every move. I can't force them to be happy or protect them from every scrape and bruise. I can only guide them, assist them, be there for them. And I can't control Mother Nature. I did all I could during this disaster. No one else could have done more. Not even the most noble queen can make the world flawless. We could still face problems in the future, but we'll find a way to get through it. If we can endure the Great Flood, we can do anything. No matter how optimistic or cautious we are, life isn't a fairy tale. Bad things will happen. But as long as there is hope and love, we'll make it. Like Dad has always told me. When life hands you lemons, you can complain about their sourness, or you can take the time and effort to make a delicious cup of lemonade. I've been too focused on the lemon, and not what it can become. Several upbeat songs later, Poppy peeked into her bathroom and tentatively approached her tub. She recalled how attempting to fill it with water had freaked her out last week. But her perspective had changed since then. She had vented her frustrations to Branch, faced her fears, and was rediscovering how to be positive. She could handle it now. As the water gradually rose in the tub, Poppy found herself thinking about Creek. But not the misfortunes during the flood. Their close friendship, the fun hangouts, his unique beaded jewellery, the conflicts they had while she was befriending Branch, his hurtful lies resulting in the end of their friendship, him openly defying her and degrading Branch when she had ordered the evacuation. All the memories of Creek felt so different now that he was gone. Those were the memories she had of him, and that was it. There would never be any new ones, bad or good. None. Ever. Poppy closed her eyes as fresh grief pierced her heart. I refuse to believe that anyone is truly evil. But what Creek did was about the worst thing you could do. Trick a good person into helping you, only so that you can leave them to drown. Mockingly explain your intentions to them while twisting it to make it seem like you're somehow helping them. All because you don't like them. Because you refuse to try and see any good in them. Then plan to play innocent and act like it was all a tragic accident. It was chilling to think that there was a time not so long ago when Poppy had hoped to start a romantic relationship with Creek. She would never have realized her partner was dangerously toxic. Or, once she did realize, it would have been too late. At best, she'd get her heart broken. At worst, it would have caused harm to her village. Poppy was so relieved she ended up falling for the right troll instead. There may have been some good in Creek, but I just can't ignore the Bergen in the room. His bad traits and the really bad things he did. He was a very nice guy, but only if everything went his way. He'd expect people to go out of their way for him, but wouldn't return the favour. He was funny, talented, and calm. But at his core, all he truly cared about was himself. And if he hurt someone else in the process, oh well, that's somehow their fault, not his. When he left Branch in those grip plants, it's not even that Creek knew that what he did was wrong and didn't care. He fully believed he was in the right. His reality was distorted by his own inflated ego. I still don't believe that Creek should have died. And I still believe I played a large part in his death. But in the end, the fact is, he made his own poor choices. I left a traitorous troll behind by accident. He left a good troll behind on purpose. That's a huge difference. He risked his own life to let Branch die. I did what was necessary to save Branch. If I had tried to reason with Creek, time would have run out, and all three of us would have drowned. Or he could have trapped me too. Then Creek would have escaped while both Branch and I would have tragically been caught in the flood. Poppy shivered at the horrific scenario. And what would have happened to the village then, with both Creek and I gone? All that would have been left was my elderly father, and with me gone, no doubt he would have become irreversibly grey. Then all of Trollkind would have fallen apart. And I get the feeling Creek would have somehow sweet-talked his way into taking over. The Troll village's royal bloodline would have forever been tainted, and no one would ever have known. More than once, Creek had hinted about becoming king someday. Poppy recalled him saying things to her in conversation like, "You are such an amazing leader. I hope I can be half as good as you someday." Or, "I would do whatever it takes to ensure the village's happiness." Things that seemed so sweet and uplifting at the time were now alarming with this new perspective of him. He never spoke about these things assertively, never seemed power-hungry or over-eager, but rather he stated them as a casual fact, like he had no doubt it would happen. He was the obvious choice for the leadership role and automatically deserved that high status. But a true king must never put himself before his people. He must do everything in his power to keep the village both happy and safe. He must be open-minded and honest, reliable and humble. Poppy shut off the tap. The tub was full of water, complete with a sparkly pink bath bomb, so the young queen stepped in. With a blissful sigh, she leaned against the wall of the tub to let her lingering worries melt away. But I don't need to think about all that. It didn't happen. Troll Village won't fall apart. Quite the opposite. It will heal and become 10 times stronger than before. I am also healing, so inevitably I'll be able to resume my queenly duties. As much as she wanted to get back to her normal routine, that was very daunting. She would have over a month's worth of planning to catch up on. Parties of all sizes and themes, intricate festivals, events to replan that had been postponed, upcoming events that still needed to be organised, creating new events or altering current ones to accommodate the new forest, maintaining fun while also rationing party supplies and food, rebuilding half the village from the ground up, adjusting to the new landscape. As the long list piled up, so did Poppy's anxieties. Closing her eyes, she took a moment to ease her nerves. Everything will work out. It may take some time, but bit by bit, I'll get everything back on the right track. And I won't have to do it alone. I'll have my friends, my dad, and of course, Branch. This incident was the worst thing Troll Village faced since the Bergens. But there were many things that could have made it so much worse. The flood could have been bigger and taken out the whole village. There could have been no warning signs, and countless trolls would have been killed, leaving the survivors shaken to their core and overwhelmed with grief. It could have been a more widespread disaster and destructive disaster, such as a wildfire or a superstorm. There could have been nowhere to relocate the village. And there was the bigger factor. And then there was the biggest factor. Branch. Without him, the Great Flood would have been one of the worst disasters in troll history. He was the one who identified the danger, the only troll who had enough wilderness knowledge to suspect there was a serious problem. Because of his practical attitude and over-preparedness, which had been frowned upon for so many years, the village evacuated immediately. Otherwise many would have drowned. And not only did Branch save them from the initial disaster, but he's also influenced trolls to be more cautious, educated them about possible dangers to watch for in their daily lives, is in charge of reconstructing every bit of the new village, is responsible for ensuring trolls' safety, and is keeping everyone comfortable with his overstocked food and other emergency supplies. The one troll who seemed like he would never have any positive impact on the village was now the most important troll in the entire village. Beneath that grumpy exterior, hidden underground on the outskirts of the forest, was a brilliant engineer, a loving boyfriend, a humble hero. Poppy's ponytail and ears were drooping contentedly. Thinking of Branch while being in the water reminded her of the first time they went swimming together. How she had convinced him to grudgingly try a floaty, how she had flipped him into the water, and then he started and won their splashing war. Back when they were just friends, aka super close friends with secret feelings for each other. Branch may have tried to hide that he was in love with me, but at least he was aware of his true feelings, unlike me. Everything he did made my heart melt, anything from a sweet compliment to a silly sneeze. Even when he was doing absolutely nothing, I was awestruck. Yet I was completely clueless that I was interested in him, even when I was blatantly checking him out. Poppy cringed as she recalled those undignified moments. Then she chuckled. I can't believe I did that. Not even once. I did it twice. And he caught me both times. Actually, thinking back, there were a lot more than twice if you count instances after that day. But I couldn't help it. And when I saw him lift those giant dumbbells, wow! Then I got to admire his handsome features during and after the Cyan Stars night, and all his amazing hugs, his dreamy reaction when I kissed his cheek for the first time, the way he made me feel, and how much I craved to kiss him again. Jeez, I was so hair over heels in love with Branch. Even when he was grumpy, he was so sweet and adorable and intriguing and handsome. How could I not fall for him? Poppy daydreamed about her turquoise sweetie pie until the water turned lukewarm. With her refreshing bath over, she dried off, put on a new dress, and headed into the living room. And blinked in surprise as she scanned her surroundings. Has it always been this dark in here? Even with the sunlight shining through the gaps in the curtains, the pod suddenly seemed so gloomy. So, before going into the fridge, she fully opened all her curtains. It took a minute for her eyes to adjust, but when they did, she felt at home in her bright magenta pod. She held her head higher as the proper lighting instantly lifted her spirits. No more darkness. No more moping around. No more hiding. While Poppy patiently waited for her dad's casserole dish to heat in the microwave, she grabbed a photo album off her bookshelf. Green with darker and lighter leaf patterns. She sat down at her dining table with her meal and opened the album with her smile. It was her collection of everything related to Branch. The scoreboard for their first competitions, the handful of little notes he'd left for her, photos to document every little gift he's given her, such as bouquets, the nice blue shell, random trinkets and snacks, plus his collection of her invitations and the items she gave him during their visits. And, of course, photos of them together. She glanced at her nightstand. I'll have to add my newest additions. Maybe I'll even do it a bit later. I have lots of time, and even a little bit of energy. There was their first picture ever taken, when Grey Branch confessed that he disliked his appearance, and Poppy emphasized every reason he's attractive. Then their second picture, the large group photo at her birthday party. It was strange to see his colours muted and hers glowing. Seeing that obvious contrast right in front of her eyes brought clarity to how and why Branch had been so unwaveringly, effortlessly compassionate with her over the last month. Because she had been that way with him. No matter how withdrawn, pessimistic, insecure, panicky, rude, and downright difficult he was, she had remained patient, calm, caring, and certain his life would improve. It was an identical situation, but the roles were reversed. Wow, we truly are each other's better halves. Poppy enjoyed her casserole as she flipped through the pages of more recent photos after his colours returned, / they started dating. She giggled at the part dedicated to them making various goofy faces. The next spread involved nice photos of them, arms around each other with soft, loving smiles. Some selfies and some taken by other people. One in the bottom right corner would have been a perfect photo of them, if Smidge hadn't photobombed it. Oh well, it's still a very nice scene, with a nice dash of humour. The next section consisted of 5 large photos, aka Poppy's favourites. The first one had poor lighting, but was still a super cute photo. She and Branch were visiting the Sparkle Dust amusement park, with her proudly holding a giant panda plushie, which he had won for her at a tricky arcade game. The photo underneath was him tenderly kissing her cheek during one of their lunch dates. It was a bit blurry, but not enough to ruin the charming scene. The following page involved 3 photos of only Branch, all of which had been taken without him realizing it, and therefore perfectly captured his natural charm. In the top one, he was intensely focused on gluing a piece of paper onto a poster, and his look of pure concentration and dedication was both adorable and handsome. The middle one, accented with heart and music-themed stickers, was from when he sang "Can't Stop the Feeling" in front of the village. A random troll had pointed their camera at exactly the right moment at exactly the right angle. Everything about him was so smooth and confident, it looked like he belonged on a magazine cover. The bottom photo was the one Poppy had snuck in while Branch was reading stories to the trollings in her pod. Minus Purple Tommy making an awkward face, it was another perfect picture of her beloved boyfriend just being himself. Eventually, Poppy reached the end of the album, closed it, and stood up to take her dishes to the sink. There was a genuine skip in her step, and the unexpected motion caused her to nearly trip over her own feet. She glanced down at her toes. wondering where that little energy boost came from. With a happy shrug, she decided she didn't require an answer. She intended to head to her craft desk next, but she paused in front of the fridge. With one foot hovering in the air, she stared at the white door. The next thing Poppy knew, she was seated at her dining table again, holding a fork, with the small slice of chocolate cake in front of her. She cut a tiny chunk out of the corner, slowly brought it to her lips, and delicately ate the experimental piece. That first bite was like fireworks in her mouth. The soft, gooey cake, the smooth fudge icing, the crunchy orange sprinkles. Holy hair, she missed sugary sweets! It took all her willpower to eat the cake slowly. The last thing she needed was a sore belly. Plus, if I wolf it down, it'll be gone sooner. But if I eat slowly, I can savor the taste. The sun-filled room, the pleasant memories of her boyfriend, the soothing bath, the decent meal, coming to terms with her grief and guilt, upbeat music playing gently in the background, dessert sitting comfortably in her stomach. Her entire body was feeling light, warm, and fuzzy. She was actually starting to feel like Queen Poppy again. She was starting to feel like herself again. She didn't feel like a stranger in her own body. Branch's words rang in her mind.
Cheerful and optimistic Poppy isn't gone. Happiness isn't something that can be eliminated. Yours is still inside you. Anyone can be happy, no matter what they've been through, provided they're given the right support.
As Poppy washed her dishes, she swayed her head along to the music still playing. I'm just like Maroon, Milton's mole. I had a traumatic experience and wanted to hide from everyone and everything. I needed some time to repair and recharge my damaged batteries before I could function properly. A terrible event happened, and I can't change that. But I can choose how to continue my life. I can be like the injured busy buzzer, sitting around feeling sorry for myself. Or I can be like Debbie the Dopling, grateful to be alive and stronger because of the hardship I faced. Poppy straightened up her utensils drawer, then returned to her couch with an important scrapbook. Her part 2 of a growing friendship. Twice as thick as the first book, now titled A Colourful Relationship. Everything she and Branch had been through, sharing their first real hug so many months ago, their unique friendship that quickly became the most magical relationship. It had taken her longer than she had expected to finish the book. After becoming queen, she had less free time. She wanted to surprise him with it after their double date with Smidge and Milton, but Mother Nature disrupted her plans. Which is fine. Plans change. It simply means I have to make a new plan. An even better plan. Maybe I'll give it to him tonight. That'll certainly cheer him up. How should I go about it? He likes some small surprises now, so maybe I'll leave it on his side of the bed under the blankets. She and Branch had been through so much in such a short time, probably more than most couples go through in an entire lifetime. She could only imagine what their future may hold. I have so much to look forward to. The new village, sharing my life with the most incredible troll in the world. As she browsed the hefty scrapbook, Poppy recalled how Branch wanted nothing to do with colourful crafts when she brought him into the bunker during their second hangout. Then he scoured the entire forest for items to put in her nature scrapbook that she'd briefly mentioned. He could have been doing something productive, but instead he chose to do something nice for her. And then there was his first scrapbooking lesson with the snack pack outside his bunker. Now he'll often volunteer to assist her with complex craft projects. Suddenly Poppy's ears perked up. A new song had started playing. Setting a colourful relationship aside for now, she sprang up to increase the volume on her stereo. It was because you loved me. The tune that had supported their first dance. The lyrics she had heard in Branch's stunning voice as he sang for the first time, leading up to the incredible moment when he had regained his beautiful blue colours. The first time he had experienced true happiness in 20 years. Poppy closed her eyes to savour the moment as she let the lyrics embrace her soul. You gave me wings and made me fly. You touched my hand, I could touch the sky. I lost my faith, you gave it back to me. You said no star was out of reach. She started to hum along. You stood by me and I stood tall. I had your love, I had it all. I'm grateful for each day you gave me. Maybe I don't know that much, but I know this much is true. I was blessed because I was loved by you. Still humming, Poppy languidly strolled over to her other dresser. She reached for Branch's confession poem, encased in a sturdy frame with a lovely heart pattern. As she read it, memories flashed in her vision. Did you really mean all of it?
Yes. Every word.
Does this mean when you said you love me, you mean actually love me? As in love with me?
Yes. But if knowing how I feel makes you uncomfortable, I understand.
Branch, nothing will ever ruin our friendship. I feel the same about you. I care about you more than I've ever cared about anyone.
But I'm grey.
Yet Poppy loved him regardless. It didn't matter to her what colour he was. She didn't care that he didn't glow like the other trolls, and she was totally unfazed by his stubborn crankiness. She saw the kind-hearted person on the inside, the little bits of kindness and improvements he exhibited. He was blind to them, yet she saw them so clearly. As the song neared its end, Poppy hugged the framed poem and started to lightly dance around the room. You were my strength when I was weak. You were my voice when I couldn't speak. You were my eyes when I couldn't see. You saw the best there was in me. She slowly twirled her way back to her dresser. She set down the poem and reached for the vintage purple jewelry box. As soon as her hand touched it, strong emotions nearly took her breath away. Lifted me up when I couldn't reach. Poppy gazed lovingly at the item in her hand. Joy radiated throughout her veins as she delicately opened it to reveal the gorgeous golden necklace with a colour-changing rose charm. The special gift he had given her on her birthday. His grandmother's signature necklace. Grandma Rosy Puff, the only family member he had ever known, who had given up her life for him, an irreplaceable symbol of his beloved guardian, a treasured possession, representing the most significant thing in his life. And he wanted Poppy to have it. Branch has given me his heart, his trust, his support, his everything. You gave me faith 'cause you believed. Poppy's voice was raspy from lack of use and shaky with emotion as she whispered the final line of the song. I'm everything I am because you loved me. It was very late in the afternoon when Branch finally returned to Poppy's pod. It had been a very long and strenuous day for the turquoise and navy blue troll. He was famished. His stomach grumbled loudly enough to be heard. He was so overtired he could hardly put one foot in front of the other. His right shoulder had a nasty knot in it, and the rest of his body didn't feel much better. But what rose above all those sensations was guilt. For leaving Poppy alone for so long when she was still unwell.
I hope she's doing okay,
he fretted as he approached her pod.
I know she'd rather I focus on taking care of the village, but I can't toss her aside like an empty candy wrapper. The village is important, but so is she. She's our queen, and she's my girlfriend.
Part of him was afraid to open the door. Would Poppy be hurt that he didn't show up sooner? Would she be afraid he'd gotten injured? Would she be distressed because she had needed comfort and he wasn't there for her?
I finally assured her of how much I love her and won't abandon her. She doesn't need doubt creeping back into her thoughts.
Forgetting to knock, Branch immediately opened the door.
Poppy, I'm...
Glancing around the pod, he didn't spot her. A mixture of confusion and mild panic stirred up inside him. She wasn't in her bed, on her couch, at her dining table or craft desk, and her bathroom door was wide open.
Poppy?
It was surprisingly bright in the room. The curtains were wide open. There wasn't a single dirty dish in or around the sink. Her bed was made, complete with her plushy prickles. The entire pod was spick and span. Except her craft table, supplies were all over the place. Glue, markers, paper, glitters, stickers, beads, you name it. Looking as though they'd been in use. Finally he heard Poppy's voice, coming from her walk-in closet at the far end of the room. I'm here, Branch. He blinked in confusion. Something sounded off about her voice, but not in a bad way. Smooth and light. Before he could analyze it any further, Poppy stepped out of the closet, and his jaw dropped. His eyes widened, his knees trembled, his hunger, exhaustion, and soreness vanished instantly. Pink. He was seeing pink. Vibrant, warm, glowing pink. Skin as pink as bubblegum, bold magenta hair, shining fuchsia eyes, sparkling snow-white freckles, and in between them was a brilliant smile. She was wearing a fancy dress, long, layered, and emerald green. Around her head was her leafy crown. Around her wrist was her purple hug time bracelet. Around her neck was his grandma's rose necklace. Branch thought he must be dreaming. He blinked several times, waiting for the sight to change. And it did. Her smile grew, spreading across her face in the radiant way it used to, the familiar warmth taking his breath away. Both trolls stayed where they were, staring at each other from across the room. Finally, Branch took one slow step forward. His voice hushed as he struggled to get the words out.
Poppy, are you... Is it really?
Poppy's nod was calm, her voice soft to match. Yes, Branch. Still looking like he couldn't believe his eyes, Branch walked toward her slowly, a tiny smile forming on his face. Finally standing in front of her, his one hand moved up, almost hesitantly, until his fingers lightly caressed her cheek, her bright pink, sparkly cheek. Poppy leaned into his sweet touch, encouraging his hand to fully cup her jaw. As Branch's astonishment vanished, his sky-blue eyes filled with tears. He let out an emotional huff. In the sweetest voice that held a slight tremble, he murmured, "There's my angel." In the next second they wrapped each other up into a tight hug, squeezing each other until it was almost difficult to breathe. Poppy's hand gripped the back of his leafy vest, while Branch's one hand carried on the back of her head. This wonderful turn of events had him overjoyed and baffled at the same time, mind blown in the best way, and he found himself letting out light chuckles in between sobs. Eventually their arms gradually withdrew, until they were holding hands, with Branch leaning back to take another look at her from head to toe, as if to make sure what he was seeing was real. He sniffled, then stammered, "Oh, what made your colours come back?" Poppy's loving smile and shimmering eyes lit up the entire room. She answered back, "You did." Branch raised an eyebrow confusedly, though his smile returned.
"Me? But I wasn't even here when it happened."
She was holding back tears now too. "You may not have been right here in this room, but you were here for me. You never gave up on me. You adored me even though I was a total mess. Your constant encouragement, all our wonderful memories together. Focusing on our love for each other helped me find the positive through all the negative. You reminded me how to be Queen Poppy. Now Poppy had a crystal clear understanding of her boyfriend. A moment of clarity so intense it was almost overpowering. His strong desire to distance himself from everyone, losing his temper and having anxiety attacks over every little thing. Relentless nightmares so vivid they affected his daily life. Feeling like garbage 24/7. His hesitance to speak up about his thoughts and feelings. His heartbreakingly low self-esteem and crippling mixed-up emotions. How being surrounded by affection and fun and socializing was literal torture. Longing to see the bright side but being unable to. How every day was worse than the day before. She had seen it through Branch's eyes. Walked in his shoes. Felt in her own heart the cold darkness he had described so many times. Experienced a snippet of his life. Poppy leaned back a bit, her expression turning solemn. "Branch," she whispered, was that really how you felt for 20 years? Branch didn't answer verbally. Instead, he gave her a sad little smile that reached right into her soul as a single tear rolled down his cheek. Poppy's lip trembled. Unable to find words, she cupped his jaw with both hands and leaned forward to kiss him. For a second he froze in surprise. The unexpected and heavenly sensation of her lips causing the warmth to explode from his heart and spread throughout his entire body. He sighed and closed his eyes as his lips eagerly joined in. His hands moved forward to grip her waist and pull her closer. Oh, how Branch missed kissing this beautiful, amazing girl. It felt like their first kiss all over again. They kept their pace slow and passionate to purely appreciate the emotional moment. Their hair spiraled together, bold navy blue and bright magenta, creating a beautiful purple glow. Tears streamed down both their cheeks as they tightened their embrace. Minutes passed before the couple finally parted, remaining close enough for their lips to brush as they exchanged tender whispers. "Oh, Branch, I love you so, so, so much."
"I love you too, Poppy. With all my heart."
Nothing else in the world mattered as their lips locked again, with even more passion this time. They kissed to express how their already deep connection had grown deeper, the most powerful love that could not be described. They touched to heal each other's scarred hearts and banished any traces of lingering sadness. Their hair spiral tightened in a silent promise to support each other forever. They held each other close until their bodies became one, to prove how no obstacles could ever come between them. How long their kiss lasted, neither knew and neither cared. How much time passed didn't matter. After all, Branch and Queen Poppy had a lot of catching up to do. End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that one. Oh my god, Poppy's got her colours back. I'm almost crying. I think I needed that chapter myself, frankly. Oh my god, that was so beautiful. It really was. The fact that she's coming to terms with her guilt, recognizing that Creek, while he was bad news, sealed his own fate, and that she was better off being in love with Branch, even though she already knew it, coming to terms with it after Creek's death and what he did. She needed that clarity, I think. I have personal experience of being alone with your thoughts being a very bad thing and being a very good thing. Honestly, I think I needed that, as I said, because I think reading Poppy going through her panic attacks was both healing and kind of triggering for me at the same time. So hearing her coming to terms with that, maybe it's going to help me too. But that's why we love stories, isn't it? Sometimes to escape what we experience ourselves, but also learn from it when it reflects our own. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe and hit that bell to get notified for whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, gals and albino pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.